You heard that young people, 16, 18 years old, expressing an interest in this election because they are excited about the candidates. This is something that I have not really seen for many years among young people, such an enthusiasm for the people who are running for office. How do you explain it?
Well, I think a lot of the enthusiasm for young people this year is because it's a time for change. And I know it's overused and everything else. We hear Barack Obama constantly referring to it, but I think younger voters overwhelmingly sense that things in Iraq are not going well. The economy is affecting them, whether it's minimum wage jobs that they have. And it's just the general malaise within the electorate, and young people overwhelmingly feel that they need to step up to the plate, be agents for change, and that's why they're coming out, especially among the 18 to 30-year-olds who are registering to vote, participating in the democratic process and the Democratic Party.
You know, it's interesting, that word malaise. That I think could sum it up. There's been a feeling among young people where they feel like the generations before them kind of dropped the ball, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think that political apathy is probably the greatest sin you can commit in terms of the system that we have, because, and we were speaking about this during the break, that it's a republic, a representational republic that this country is founded on. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be electing those to represent us. And so to be exciting or to not have that excitement is a real shame, I think.
Do you think young people were cynical for a while because of all of the scandal that was surrounding the White House during the Clinton years? There was the question whether or not George W. Bush actually won the election in 2000, and then of course it was very tight in 2004 between him and Gore. Do you think there was just as you said, a feeling that, you know, same old, we're not really part of this, and now they think it will be different?
Yeah, I do, and I think as much as they want change, they were a little bit turned off by the past maybe 20 years of politics, you know, that they've grown up with. But as one viewer pointed out, not only is this a time for change, this is an important crossroads in our nation's history, and that as much as they want sort of vague ideas about hope and change, they might want someone who's actually able to lead the country in a more positive direction with some concrete actions.
What do you think some of the big issues are? We've talked a little bit about the candidates and the way that they've approached young people in particular, but are there issues that really stand out in the hearts and the minds of people 18 to 30?
I think that the issues that are standing out in the hearts and minds of that particular demographic have to be the ones that are still probably standing out to most of the rest of the demographics as well, with the exception you mentioned at the top of the show, Social Security. Perhaps that's not the biggest concern, although it should be because it's all connected. But certainly they're concerned about the economy. They're concerned about gas prices, as much as that can be a part of the presidential ticket. But I think that they're concerned about the same things that everybody's concerned about.
They're largely concerned with the environment, more so than perhaps any other demographic, because they, if anything, they have a stake in the future that they're going to grow up in, more so than perhaps the older folks do.
I think definitely the number one issue is the economy. Younger people are feeling the pinch of the economy even more than more of the older generations, if you want to call that, because they're coming out of college or coming out of high school. They have to pay the same gas prices, the same price as everybody else, and they're not making nearly as much, and they're affected more by it. And I think the economy is the number one issue is going to change the votes this year.
Just to add one more thing, that the majority of the people serving overseas are under 30 years old, and the war on terror is certainly taking a toll on them and affects them in a very real way.
You know, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because for this generation that will have such a big role in the 2008 presidential election, it's a generation that has lived primarily in a post 9/11 world in terms of being mature enough or old enough to understand the impact that it had on our society. So that's a very good point that you raised.